Trump's fun new nuclear threats and what it means for you. The man jailed over Charlie Kirk memes was just freed after a month in jail. The Zohran Mamdani Bill de Blasio scandal shows why healthy skepticism is healthy. And then I got a final awesome thing for you today. But we're talking about all of that and even more on today's brand new Philip DeFranco Show, you daily dive into the news, starting with this. A guy who got arrested over social media posts that he made following Charlie Kirk's death was just released from jail. Because we're talking about Larry Bushart in Tennessee, who got taken into custody on September 22nd, with him just getting released today. So he was in there for over a month. Right, and Larry, he's a retired police officer. He's known to talk politics online and post liberal memes. Right, according to reports, in the days after Charlie was killed, Larry was doing just that, posting a ton on Facebook, including in the comment section of a post in a group called What's Happening in Perry County. And that post was about a vigil to be taking place to honor Charlie in a town called Linden. And Larry, he posted a slew of memes asking who gives a shit that Charlie died, mocking Cash Patel's Valhalla comment, and more. But also, the one that got him in the most trouble was where he referenced Donald Trump's own words, or there being a photo of Trump's face alongside the quote, "We have to get over it," with a meme noting that Trump did in fact say that one day after a shooting at Perry High School in Iowa. And above that, a meme said, "This seems relevant today." Right, so to most people, it would seem like the meme is suggesting that if Trump is telling people to get over school shootings, then the public should also get over Charlie Kirk. But also a thing here is at the local high school in the town there, it was called Perry County High School. And there had also recently been an alleged threat against it. And so the Perry County sheriff claimed that this caused panic, saying that parents and students and teachers were concerned that he was talking about a hypothetical school shooting at the local Perry County High School in Tennessee. And so Larry, he ends up getting charged with threatening massive violence at a school, and he gets held on $2 million bail. With that truly shocking Larry, according to body cam footage published by The Intercept.
This is what they charged him with. Okay. Threatening mass violence at a school.
At a school?
It's referring to a school. I have no idea. That's what they've called us for, and I ain't got a clue.
I played on Facebook. That's right. No, I know you don't get it. I've been in Facebook.
I'm not saying you did or didn't do anything.
No, I did do, but I didn't think you committed a crime.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you did or did not commit a crime.
I may have been an asshole, but
that's not illegal.
Right, and with this, you've had many questioning if this post even caused the mass panic the way the sheriff claimed that it did. With the senior attorney for the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression telling USA Today that he filed open records requests with Perry County schools asking for communications laying out the so-called hysteria that Larry allegedly caused. But they apparently had none, with him explaining, "I never heard anything back at all from the county, and all the school said was that the sheriff handled the case and there are no records." And then on top of that, well, some of Larry's other comments actually got traction and responses. That meme one was apparently ignored on Facebook. And so when reports of his arrest made local news, many were just confused and argued that the sheriff was violating free speech by arresting Larry. Right? Many thinking that the sheriff, who also posted seeming to grieve Charlie Kirk, willfully misinterpreted Larry's words. Right? And then you had a Facebook page called Justice for Larry Bushart being made in support, calling for him to be freed, condemning the sheriff for the arrest, defending Larry's remarks as non-threatening. And then all of it bringing us to yesterday, where we got the news that the charges against Larry had finally been dropped after he had been locked up for a month because of this, with Larry walking free and telling reporters,
"Thanks to all and any supporters out there, and very happy to be going home. I didn't seek to be a media sensation."
And as far as why these charges were all of a sudden dropped, it's not clear right now. Though you do have some noting that it came not long after reporting on the case from The Intercept and News Channel 5 in Nashville brought a ton of attention to the case. Right, and specifically with that, there was an interview that News Channel 5 did with the sheriff of Perry County that caused a ton of outrage. Because you see, in that interview, he continued to say that the arrest was due to public concerns, while also seemingly admitting that he knew Larry wasn't actually threatening the school.
35 days over a meme.
Well, it was a series of posts, but yes, the one post that he made was the one with Donald Trump that got everybody's attention and was considered threatening. That led people to believe in our county that he's talking about Perry County High School, because it doesn't say Iowa either.
But you also knew this was an existing meme that was already out there on the internet.
Correct.
And so it's clear he's not talking about Perry County High School.
We knew. The public did not know.
Right, so that interview, it doesn't go well. And again, it brings us to today where Larry is out, he is free. But also, it can't be dismissed. He was in jail for over a month over this. But hey, that's a story, a little bit of my take. And now, of course, I pass the question off to you. Whether you agree or disagree with me, I'd love to know your thoughts, opinions, and reactions here. But then, next up in the news, Donald Trump just ordered the Pentagon to begin testing nuclear weapons again for the first time since 1992, right, which was actually really cool news to see after I had just finished A House of Dynamite on Netflix. Right, but we should talk about what this means and how it happened, because he made this announcement just minutes before meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, with Trump writing, "The United States has more nuclear weapons than any other country. This was accomplished, including a complete update and renovation of existing weapons during my first term in office," and then going on to say, "Because of the tremendous destructive power, I hated to do it, but had no choice. Russia is second and China is a distant third, but will be even within 5 years," and then finally adding, "Because of other countries' testing programs, I have instructed the Department of War to start testing our nuclear weapons on an equal basis. That process will begin immediately." Okay, so a A few things to mention, a few issues with what he said. One, just to be exact and for the sake of accuracy, the exact number of nuclear weapons held by each country, it's not 100% known. But it's actually Russia that has the most, according to estimates by groups including the Federation of American Scientists and Arms Control Association. Then two, it's not exactly clear why the order was given to the Pentagon when America's nuclear arsenal is maintained by the Department of Energy and a semi-autonomous agency within that's known as the National Nuclear Security Administration. And then three, and this is a big one, neither Russia, China, nor any country on Earth except North Korea have live tested a nuclear weapon in this century. And so with that, it seems like it's possible that Trump's actually conflating the testing of missiles that deliver a nuclear warhead with the testing of the warheads themselves. Right? And in that case, this might all actually be a response to Putin announcing earlier this week that Russia had tested a new nuclear-powered cruise missile and an atomic-powered underwater drone, both capable of delivering a nuclear payload. And a big thing, right, with that missile is it's reportedly been engineered to evade defense systems being developed by the United States, namely Trump's so-called Golden Dome, which the Kremlin sees as an effort to develop first strike capability over Russia. And so actually, with that, I think it's worth noting that like Russia, the US military already regularly tests its own missiles capable of delivering a nuclear payload. We actually tested one just last month. And so again, it's not clear right now what starting tests on an equal basis, as Trump said, would really mean in the future. Though you should not take any of that as a reason to dismiss the seriousness of the situation. It's still nukes we're talking about. And even separate from this announcement, I mean, you've had many arguing for a while that we're in the midst of a new nuclear arms race. Because the thing is, Russia and China, they've been aggressively expanding their nuclear stockpile in recent years, and the US has also been spending massively to upgrade its arsenal. And so actually with that, you had Putin signing a bill back in 2023 revoking his country's ratification of the nuclear test ban treaty, claiming that it was necessary to put Russia on equal footing with the United States, which had signed but never ratified the treaty. Right next year, you have the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty between the United States and Russia set to expire. And like you maybe know, because we actually did a whole deep dive on this subject in the past, a key takeaway on this subject and the situation is that you have experts saying that thanks to models and simulations and other techniques that we have now, there's no point in actually live testing anymore, especially given the potential downside. And so you've had experts saying the goal of conducting a fast-track nuclear test can only be political, not scientific. And actually adding to that, in response to Trump's announcement, you had the head of the Washington-based Arms Control Association calling the president misinformed and out of touch and arguing the US has no technical, military, or political reason to resume nuclear explosive testing, then claiming it would take at least 36 months to resume contained nuclear tests underground at the former test site in Nevada, and adding, by foolishly announcing his intention to resume nuclear testing, Trump will trigger strong opposition in Nevada from all US allies, and it could trigger a chain reaction of nuclear testing by US adversaries and blow apart the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. And so at that point, you've already had the Kremlin warning that if the US resumes nuclear testing, Russia would follow suit. And at least for now, Trump really hasn't offered any clarity about his remarks, only speaking to reporters and doubling down.
They seem to all be nuclear testing. We have more nuclear weapons than anybody. We don't do testing, but with others doing testing, I think it's appropriate that we do also.
And then with that, he says that future testing will be announced. So look forward to that, I guess. And then there's more we're going to dive into in just a minute, but first let me say, listen up, right? I'm talking to you right now. And specifically you with that passion project, that side hustle, that list of business ideas that just keep rotting away in your notes app. Let today be the day that you commit to making that thing real. I totally get it. I procrastinated on building my book club website forever. But also, and I kid you not, the DeFranco Book Club, it went from someday to launched in under an hour with today's sponsor, Squarespace. Right? Because it could not be easier to build a site to showcase things or start selling content, courses, physical or digital products, whatever you've got in mind. Want to charge a one-time fee, offer a subscription, both? Done and done. And they've got beautiful templates that look like you hired a designer, and their Fluid Engine editor, it lets you drag, drop, customize, no coding, no stress, no excuses. My team even uses Squarespace for our daily tip newsletter where tens of thousands of y'all every day get your PDFs fixed in your inbox. Things that add on to this show, news polls, giveaways, PDF show notes, all run through Squarespace. Right, it went from idea to reality just like that, and your project vision could be next. All you gotta do is take the first step today with a free trial at squarespace.com/Phil or scan that QR code, right? Today is launch day. And all I ask is when you're ready to go live, just use code Phil to get 10% off and let them know we sent you. But then next up in the news, this Zohran Mamdani Bill de Blasio scandal is kind of fantastic. Because former New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio seemed to be a fan of Mamdani. Then you had the Times of London reporting that he was starting to question if Mamdani's policies were actually feasible and saying, while the ambition is admirable, the cost estimates reportedly exceeding $7 billion annually rest on optimistic assumptions about eliminating waste and raising revenue through new taxes. And adding, in my view, the math doesn't hold up under scrutiny and the political hurdles are substantial. And this was seemingly such a big shift and such a big statement that Andrew Cuomo's team, they picked this up and they said that de Blasio realized that Mamdani's policies were stuff like free buses. It was just glitter and vibes. Except, little tiny baby issue, Bill de Blasio came out and said he never actually spoke with the Times of London, writing, "I want to be 100% clear, the story in the Times of London is entirely false and fabricated. It was just brought to my attention and I'm appalled. I never spoke to that reporter and never said those things. Those quotes aren't mine, don't reflect my views," with him later adding that he very much supports Mamdani's policies. And so instantly with people questioning what the hell happened here, right? Why would a pretty well-respected paper with 240 years of history put out something that's just fake. And well, according to them, it's because they were lied to and they ended up taking the piece down just 2 hours after it was published. And saying they did this after discovering that a reporter had been misled by an individual falsely claiming to be the former New York mayor. Then leading to headlines saying British newspaper duped by someone impersonating former New York City mayor Bill de Blasio. But here's the thing, Bill de Blasio doesn't see it that way. Because it turns out there's just another guy in New York with that name named Bill de Blasio. He's a 59-year-old wine importer from Long Island, and he spoke to Semaphore about this situation. And what he claims is that just some reporter from the Times, they hit him up for his opinion about the race and added, I never once said I was the mayor. He never addressed me as the mayor, so I just gave him my opinion. With him then pointing out I could have corrected him. It was all in good fun. I never thought it would make it to print. And then it's just kind of a fun cherry on top. His criticism of Mamdani's plan wasn't even his own. Instead, he just went to ChatGPT to figure out what to write. Well, personally, I wish this isn't where the story ended and it turned out it was actually a third guy named Bill de Blasio who spoke to Semaphore. This unfortunately serves as yet another reminder that you should be skeptical at the first thing that you read, and also everyone in the industry should vet their sources. But then, next up in the news, the cop that shot Sonia Massey was just found guilty for murder, though her family says that's not enough. Because if you don't remember the details, last year, 36-year-old Sonia Massey called 911 in the middle of the night because she thought someone was lurking outside of her house in Springfield, Illinois. But then, two sheriff's deputies responding, one of them being Sean Grayson. Right, and Grayson and the other deputy, they searched the property, and after not finding anyone, they knocked on the door to talk to Sonia. From there, they went inside, they had a cordial conversation. That is, until Grayson saw a boiling pot of water on the stove and he asked Sonia to take it off the burner. Right, and that is when the body cam footage shows that things take a turn.
Where you going?
Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I would rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
Huh?
Rebuke you in the name of
No, that's where you got. I'll shoot you right in your face.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Drop the pot.
And from there, I can't show the footage, but you can find it. Sonia apologizes, ducks down, and that's when Grayson ends up shooting her 3 times. But then afterward, the other deputy trying to give Sonia first aid, but Grayson then also reportedly tells the guy not to bother, that Sonia's injuries were just too severe. Also, I'll say, worth noting here, is that it actually wasn't Grayson's body cam that caught this whole interaction. It was the other deputies. Right? And that because Grayson's wasn't turned on. Also, as far as Sonia here, I feel like it's important to mention that she had been reportedly struggling with some mental health issues in the weeks leading up to her death. And in fact, the day before she was killed, Sonia's mother called police saying that her daughter was having a mental breakdown and asked police not to hurt her when they responded. But then with this, after Sonia was killed, there was an investigation into her death by the Illinois State Police and the local state's attorney office. With that investigation then leading to Grayson's indictment, which then led to him being fired, and then just a whole bunch of backlash for the sheriff's office for him being even hired in the first place. Because it turns out, Grayson had a spotty history at best with 2 DUI convictions, one of which led to his discharge from the Army for serious misconduct, as well as a documented history of impulsive decision-making and filing inaccurate reports as a law enforcement officer. And this whole situation had just reignited protests across the country about the way that law enforcement treats Black communities, as well as those having mental health crises. You even had Joe Biden, who was president at the time, saying that Sonia should still be alive. But then with this, you had Grayson's defense successfully getting his trial moved out of Springfield to Peoria, about 70 miles away. That trial, it ended up lasting about a week, with the defense making the case that the shooting was actually justified. When he took the stand in his own defense, you had Grayson reportedly arguing that he was afraid for his safety when Sonia grabbed the pot of water, saying, in this situation, unfortunately, I matched the threat level. And one of his attorneys adding that what happened to Sonia was, quote, tragic, but it was not a crime. So that is, you had the prosecution arguing that Grayson needlessly escalated the situation by failing to follow any of his training and acting unreasonably. Or with the top prosecutor saying, we are here because of the actions of the defendant, and Sonia Massey is dead because of the defendant. Send anyone else, anyone, and Sonia Massey is alive. These were not the actions of a scared young police officer doing a dangerous job. These are the actions of a bully. And as far as the charges, Grayson was charged with first-degree murder, but the jury was also given the option of considering a lesser charge of second-degree murder instead, which can apply when a defendant faces a serious provocation or believes that their action is justified even if that belief is unreasonable. And after nearly 12 hours of deliberation, that is what the jury convicted Grayson on. So instead of the 45 years to life in prison that comes with first degree, Grayson is facing up to 20 years. Well, technically, probation is an option under a second-degree murder conviction. You have experts saying it's unlikely in this case. But also, I will say, not off the table. And so as a result, you had an uproar among Sonia's family and her supporters, with her father even calling this a miscarriage of justice. And adding, Sean Grayson should be able to get out of jail when my daughter can get out of that burial vault and walk out of Oak Hill Cemetery. And Sonia's mom saying, anybody who watched the video and thinks that this was partly Sonia's fault is inhumane. For them to not give him life, and Sonia got life and death, I can't wait until he goes to hell. And you also had Sonia's cousin saying, I'm fueled by rage right now. You get an officer that says he's going to shoot you in the face, and then he shoots you in the face, and you only get second degree? The justice system did exactly what it's designed to do today. It's not meant for us. And then as far as the prosecution, they said that the verdict wasn't ideal, but it is a measure of justice. And adding, accountability has begun, and we now hope the court will impose a meaningful sentence that reflects the severity of these crimes and the life that was lost. But I will say it's going to be a while till we know, because the sentencing hearing is actually not scheduled till January. Of course, while we wait to see see that. I'd love to know your thoughts, opinions, and reactions here, as well as what you think we're going to see with the sentencing. But then finally today, I almost feel like I have a guest host because he did such a good job here. This morning, I spoke with Marquez Brownlee, MKBHD, for the In Good Faith podcast, which right now it's up. You can get the full hour-long thing, links in the description. It's a really fantastic episode. We go super tech, Apple, Tim Cook, AI and jobs. We get personal, get YouTubey. But what I'm going to include here and today's show on is him walking me through this whole controversy around this new $20,000 in-home robot servant situation.
This is the pitch versus the reality.
Okay.
So the pitch is there's a 5'6" humanoid robot that lives in your house. And when you leave in the morning, it unplugs itself and gets off the dock and walks around and does your chores. It does the laundry, it does the dishes, it vacuums, it puts stuff away, it finds the remote between the cushions, it puts your keys back where they belong. Like it does everything. It's a nice little helper, and no matter how slow it does it, it's in the background. You're at work. It's doing all of this for you. Immense value, right? The reality is that requires an incredibly complex neural net and a model of your house and knowing all these household objects, and that doesn't exist yet. So there is also the ability for a teleoperator to come in and work through the robot to do these tasks for you, which represents obviously a totally different privacy situation, a totally different comfort level for a lot of people. And oh, by the way, you can give us your money today and pre-order it, and we'll ship the version with the teleoperator now in hopes that maybe someday we'll get to the version that's super advanced that can do it all on its own. So if you're a tech bro, if you're really in the thick of this, if you're on Twitter thinking this is amazing, then you're actually willing to let that teleoperator do the task and hopefully contribute kind of as a beta tester. But if you're a little bit more unplugged, a little bit more of a normal person, you might say, this is an almost unfathomable product that should never be in your house. And what if it falls? And what if it lands on my dog? And what if it creeps out? What if it strangles me? Like, there's all kinds of questions people have that you just immediately think like a normal person. You're like, this